Good morning, everyone. Today we're checking out a brand new video from Popcross Studios. It was a continuation of Starseed Psyche, Episode 10, and Quin's Slayer Squad Trial. That's a bit of a tongue twister for a guy like me. Now, let's hop in and see how this trial plays out.
Previously on Starseed Psyche, Kaio Adachi has never been more confused about who the love of his life is supposed to be and who his greatest rival is supposed to be. He does know
Oh yeah, dude's more confused than most people nowadays.
each one is of two people. The first possibility is Toshiko Yamada, the esteemed inventor of the Subaraith gauntlets used by Kaio and his fellow military compatriots in fighting the invading forces of the so-called Qserax. The second is
right.
Phaestriel, a Qusidian, the alien race unjustly blamed for the Qserax invasion. She is trying to figure out who is really behind these attacks with Kaio's help, and has told him that he is a Qusidian Starseed, meaning he allowed himself to be reincarnated as a human to take on the life he is now living with very little memory of his past life, and without even knowing he was a Starseed until Faye told him. Toshiko is a Starseed as well, but of the protective
and of course he has gotten a glimpse of some memories here and there.
Intergalactic police force-like race called the Subarites. She has limited memory of her past life as well, but does recall that she wanted to take human form specifically so she could find a romantic relationship, as Subarites don't partake in these. Both Toshiko and Kaio have been made members of the new Elite Slayer Squadron in the Subaraith program, and a test is being run soon to see who the final 3 members of this team will be before all the squadrons are sent to invade a potential Qserax base. Kaio is hoping his friend Quin will make the squad, but there will be stiff competition. Last we saw Kaio, he was with Toshiko in the woods, and had just confessed that he was a Qusidian Starseed, revealing that her assumption that he too was a Subarite Starseed was false. Phaestriel also revealed that she was there listening, and introduced herself to Toshiko, who doesn't seem thrilled to learn that Kaio and this Qusidian are already somewhat close.
We got a
Let's see how
triangle
this
up in this.
exchange goes in the next chapter of Starseed Psyche. I had no idea what to say. I just looked back and forth like an idiot between Faye and Toshiko, hoping something would come to me.
Oh yeah,
I probably opened my mouth a few times to start speaking, but nothing came out. Thankfully, Toshiko relaxed slightly from her combat stance and held up a finger. Just give me a minute, okay?
Okay.
She walked off into the forest a little ways away. I wouldn't have been surprised if I heard her start screaming and doing Argent Angelo's anger release thing again. Faye walked closer to me, looking off in the direction Toshiko had gone.
I mean, it would be useful.
That was immature of me. I should have resisted the temptation to both listen in on your conversation and reveal myself when I did. I'll apologize to her when she returns. Yeah, I guess that's probably a good idea.
You didn't do too much wrong.
I'm kind of surprised you revealed yourself to her at all. I mean, I'm pretty sure I trust her, but do you? Well, after what she said, it seems she just wants what's best for humanity too, and she already seems to care deeply for your insights and feelings, so it doesn't feel like much of a gamble to think she'll want to help us. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay, now I see exactly why she did that.
There was a part of me thinking that Phaestriel just wanted to assert herself as an important woman in my life to try and make Toshiko back off. I mean, it would have been pretty obvious that she and I were about to kiss. At least, I'm pretty sure we were. Toshiko returned a minute later, looking much more like her usual stoic self, the one I'd grown accustomed to seeing back at the base, not the more open version of herself she'd been before Faye's reveal. I'm sorry about my hostile response to your arrival, Phaestriel. I have been waiting a very long time to meet another Starseed, and I had built up in my head what that experience would be like and how it would go.
Yeah, you jumped the gun on yourself.
Certainly not what I expected, and your presence caught me off guard. Given what Kaio has shared, I am willing to hear you out as a potential ally. Faye gave a slight bow as she said, I appreciate that, Ms. Yamada. I'm sorry myself. I should have waited to make a less alarming entrance. And may I say it's an honor to meet you. Subarite weaponry is not easily built, even with all the resources of your original race. Building these weapons on Earth with the limited resources here and the level of humanity's general consciousness is a miraculous accomplishment.
Oh,
Toshiko's professional demeanor eased off slightly once again. Oh, really? I just thought it was something any Superite Starseed would be able to do. Faye noticed her disarmed response and stepped closer. No, there have been many other Superite Starseeds born, and as far as we're aware, none have been able to harness their past life abilities and memories to the same extent you have. You truly are one of a kind.
Oh,
I couldn't
agreed.
say for sure, but it almost seemed like Toshiko blushed when Faye said that. Oh,
well, it's a compliment.
That is nice to know, thank you. Faye got closer, and Toshiko didn't resist. And I can't imagine how lonely it's been being the only Starseed you knew for so much of your life. I understand if it takes time for you to trust me, given you were convinced my people were the enemy until today, but if you do ever want to talk to anyone with experience outside of Earth, I'm here and happy to tell you almost anything you want to know. I thought I was getting used to unexpected scenarios by this point, but nothing prepared me for the feeling that stirred up in that moment. Jealousy. It hit me in that moment with Faye so effortlessly disarming and flattering Toshiko that it could be possible Faye really was my rival. My romantic rival. I didn't know if either of them were into women, but if Toshiko was, Faye would trounce me as a potential partner. She was kind, mature, cool, and stunningly beautiful. I even got jealous enough to step forward and say, yeah, me too, I'm here for you too, if you need me to be, that is. There was an awkward pause, then Toshiko pushed the conversation in another direction. Okay, let's say for now that I am willing to accept the Cusidians as allies. What do we do from here? What steps can we take to help prove your people's innocence and find out who the real threat is? We caught each other up on all the information we had to get on the same page.
Here's everything.
Faye had followed the military convoys searching for the Repsoro base, but lost track of them when they moved underground, where her ship couldn't follow. We told Toshiko how the Tekigami Claw Tech her mother now had was very similar to the Repsoros, and that made her even more concerned about more people potentially getting the implants. We bounced around a bunch of theories, but knew we'd have access to a lot more answers after the base invasion went down.
My main theory is that all of this is being started because of those Repsarian scumbags. Like, they want war and they want less Starseeds to actually work together. So, hey, what a better way than making it seem like one race is attacking the race that Starseeds are most commonly born into, but then they're born into it as well. So it's even more like causing a three-way war.
Before that happened, though, Toshiko and I had to get more acquainted with our new Slayer Squad buddies, and figure out who our last 3 members would be. Jealousy stirred up in me again when Faye gave Toshiko the same sort of communications disc she'd given me to get in contact with her, but at least she was less touchy-feely with Toshiko than she had been with me. We parted ways with Faye and agreed to keep each other updated on anything we learned. As Toshiko and I were nearly back to the base, she said, "To be totally honest, it does feel kind of crazy to me how easily I and so many others were tricked into thinking the Cusidians were the villains. If Faye is a testament to their kind, it's very difficult to dislike them." I didn't know how to respond. I desperately wanted to ask, "Are you into her?" but knew I shouldn't actually do that. Instead...
Yeah, no, that would totally ruin the moment. And the best response would just be to say, humans are surprisingly gullible.
I just said, "Yeah, she's really relaxing to be around." I tried to casually look at Toshiko's face to see how she reacted, but she didn't reveal much with her expression. A little more quietly, I said, "Hey, I'm sorry if I wasn't what you expected, as far as another Starseed goes." She smiled softly. "This may not have gone how I expected, Kaio, but I'm still really glad I know I can talk to you about being a Starseed now."
It still went better than
From there, she glanced ever so briefly at my lips again. I think she did, but then she turned and kept walking. I was half tempted to make a move right there, but I reminded myself how many times before I'd felt certain which way the whole romance and rival situation would go. I hated not knowing and really just wanted an answer, but at the end of the day, I knew I had really just started getting to know both Faye and Toshiko closely.
Yeah.
As much as I wanted to, there was no need to rush through figuring out who was who.
Exactly.
I parted ways with Toshiko and didn't see her again until the next day, when it was time to learn who our new Slayer Squad members would be.
Is this actually the first time I've seen anyone with a blade on the leg? Yeah, almost everyone has it on the...
Before starting the test, I found Quin warming up on one of the treadmills in the compound gym. She looked as focused as ever, but also more frustrated than usual. I
Is
walked
that
up
a...
in front of her.
It is.
Feeling ready, Quin? Won't be the same if you're not on the squad with Chip Heckema and me. I'm more ready than ever since apparently I have to prove myself as more than just Slayer squad worthy, she said with a scowl. What does that mean? I asked. She hit the stop button and her run decelerated. She said, Yesterday I was asked to come in for a random biological age test that they're running now as a way to ensure the stress of the last Q-Serax attack isn't messing any of us up. Poorly
Oh, well, that
handling
just makes
stress can
sense.
technically affect your biological age, but mine was 23 last time I got tested, so I wasn't worried about still being under the Super 8th requirement. But yesterday, when they tested me, they said the result came back at 29 and I was unfit for Super 8th service. What? I responded much more
That's
loudly than I
strange.
should have. I quieted down. That's insane. You're like the most agile person here.
Yeah, and I doubt the stress would make your biological age jump up 6 years. I could see maybe 5, maybe 4, depending on your mental state, but 6? No, that doesn't seem right. And it's just 1 over the absolute limit? Something isn't adding up right, and my math is checking.
Yeah, that's what I said. Then they told me, hey, don't worry about it. Why don't you just sign up for the Tekigami program like General Ritsu? You don't need any specific biological age requirements for that. They went on this whole sales pitch for why I should sign up to get those chips planted in my brain and get my arm or leg altered for upgrades. Despite her
Yeah,
tone
exactly.
implying that she clearly wasn't
Damn it.
having it, I was still nervous as I asked. Well, what did you say? No, obviously. That tech looks incredible, but I'm not going to give my future haters any fuel to claim that I had unfair advantages when the manhwa I'm making about my life becomes a bestseller and a global hit feature film. If I get any kind of chip put in my
Oh, you mean kind of like an anime, like a solo leveling?
brain, people will be like, oh, well, obviously she's successful. She has a chip in her brain making her smarter and better. I'm going to succeed on my own human grit and determination. No computer upgrades required.
Keep it up.
I told
Quinn.
them there was no chance I'd sign on for the Tekigami program, even if it meant I'd be kicked out of Super 8th squads. I was ready to fight them on booting me anyway, but thankfully, Heckema swooped in out of nowhere and told them to run the tests again. They did, and it came back at 26, which still sounds wrong to me, but at least it meant I wasn't getting the boot. It was encouraging to hear that Heckema was supporting his old squad.
Thank you, Heckema.
It was giving me less reason to think something was up with him after how weird he'd acted the night of the bomb going off at the base. I leaned closer to her and got even quieter. Do you think they were, like, trying to push you into signing up for the Tekigami program?
Obviously.
Like, saying people aren't fit for Super 8th gear anymore is some way to get more people to agree to get Tekigami tech?
Obviously.
She jumped off the treadmill. It definitely seemed like it, but if anyone else wants to get that tech put in them, that's their business. What matters is I'm going to get out there today and crush this test in a matter of minutes. She stepped closer and stuck a finger in my face. And don't you dare go easy on me just because you want me on the squad, Adachi. People will notice if you show me any favoritism, and I am not going to be the girl who got on because her buddy cheated for her. I'm not even going to aim for you to get the 3 hits I need. Her intensity was alarming at first, but I eased into it. Go easy on you? Who are you kidding? I was going to try and make it extra hard for you just so you could show off, Jin. With a big smile, she punched me in the shoulder and said,
Good friends.
That's what I like to
Good
hear,
friends.
dance boy. I'll see you out there. She marched off, and as soon as she did, my smile faded. What she said was especially nerve-wracking. I didn't know for sure Rep Soros had invaded the Japanese military, but if they had and they'd built the Tekigami Claw Tech, then their manipulating more people into using them could be really bad for everyone.
Oh, well,
Was there
no
a
doubt,
chance
it's
they
obvious.
could even do something like mind control people with those things in?
I mean, yeah, of course, it's a chip directly put on the brain. They'll clearly saying, we're building an army right in front of you, and anyone that signs up will become our puppet. And just so we can wipe out this planet and take its resources. Hello? Oh, this is classic evil alien trope number 582.
I knew I'd update Toshiko and Faye on that little revelation later, but for the time being, I had to go suit up.
I mean, hell, that was a whole ass movie. Hey, that was kind of based around this stuff. The fifth wave or something. I don't completely remember it.
Once I did, I went to the same meeting room where I'd met the Slayer Squadron the day before.
I remember the
Toshiko was
movie, not
there,
the
standing
name.
on the opposite side of the room to her mother, who had a few other people's attention, asking her about the Tekigami claw she wore. Roku Yuichi and Takuma Calico,
Sorry, I had to quickly double check. It was called the fifth wave.
who I knew the least well of everyone, had been talking to Ritsu, but Roku stepped away when he saw me come in. "So, Adachi, 2 Super 8th gauntlets, huh? How'd you swing that?" From what Fastriel had told me, it was most
Energy.
likely because I had a stronger connection to source energy through my soul than most humans have, which is where the gauntlets draw their power from, but that wasn't
You legit can just say, I don't know, it's my energy, and then boom, you're right.
exactly an answer I could give him. I shrugged with a smirk. "Combination of lots of training and a bit of luck, I guess. How did you swing the leg gauntlet?" I asked, trying to stay friendly, despite sensing some hostility. He stomped his foot and his blade activated. "Leg gauntlets aren't a thing, it's called a greave, and I got it 'cause I wouldn't join up without a custom leg mod. Was planning to be Japan's next big soccer star before the Super 8th squads became more enticing.
Oh,
I tried out
okay.
just to show off, but decided hunting aliens would be a lot more fun than kicking a ball around. Now I plan
robots,
to be the
but
best
yes.
soldier this program has ever seen." I think he was trying to goad me into competing with him, but I just didn't care enough about this guy or being the best squad soldier to bite back. I sort of unenthusiastically said, "Well, if they were willing to make you that custom greave, then I guess you really did impress. I'm sure you'll be the number 1 around here in no time."
Yeah, he
"I
has a
will,
chance.
even with only 1 greave, just watch me." I nodded and walked away. "Right, will do." "Yeah, you will." I walked over to Toshiko. She smirked. "Making new friends, Kai?"
You know what? Weirdly enough, the guy that doesn't care is the one that makes the people that do care want to have them care about them.
Kaio? "Oh yeah, he seems fun. Was just deciding when I could invite him over for a movie night and slumber party." She smirked. "Slumber party, huh?" There was a slight pause and I could tell she had a witty reply loaded, but she hesitated with it. I
Save
desperately
reply.
wanted to hear it, but then Captain Heckema walked into the room and interrupted. "Alright, Slayer Squad, listen up." He restated all the rules of the test we were about to run. We use all our tech, while the 10 potential Slayer recruits get none, other than beanbag guns and 10 shots. 3 hits on the
Good
same
enough.
soldier from our team, and they win. First 3 recruits to get theirs are our new squad mates. Heckema also said that we should actively try to destroy their beanbags after they shot them, so they couldn't get them back and reuse them. It made
No
sense that we'd
reloading.
want to make this as difficult as possible. Only the best of the best should be on this squad. It struck me as odd, though, that the people trying out for our squad were being tested by their use of projectile weapons. Super 8th blades could
Actually, yeah, that is a good question. Why are they being tested with these beanbag guns when the whole Super Right thing is all about pretty much up close and personal?
be used at long range, but the beanbag guns more closely resembled the gun-like weaponry used in the Tekigami claw. Again, I had no idea what might be a coincidence and what might actually have some more sinister meaning behind it,
I
but
have a
that
feeling.
fact did give me cause for concern. We got out into the track where we'd run the test. We started at one end and our 10 combatants on the other. The 2-kilometer track had the usual walls on either side and a bunch of mud pits and skeletal building frames running through it. Without any Super 8th gear, our opponents wouldn't be able to traverse this terrain nearly as easily as us. I couldn't see Quin from our end, but just before the test began, I mentally wished her good luck. A shot was fired and we sprang off into the track. I went straight for the tallest building and Roku did the same, though he leapt up it far faster than I did. Toshiko darted along the ground and was clearly keeping an eye on her
Love leg
mother.
training with that
General
guy.
Ritsu was the odd one out, using her Tekigami tech, and she was proving to be just as fast, if not faster, than her daughter. Before I even saw our opponents, I heard a pulse ring out from the general's arm. I followed the fast-moving shot and watched a concussive blast collide with the chest of a recruit. He was hurled back into the mud and dropped his gun.
Damn.
I scrambled to get it back. While I watched, I heard the pop of a beanbag gun on the ground below me. Without even consciously looking towards it, I flung my blade out and sliced open the coming projectile. Beads burst into the air around me. I looked down and spotted Quin. I instantly felt bad for breaking one of her shots, but she didn't seem deterred. She almost seemed happy. like she'd wanted proof that I wasn't going to go easy on her. She may have even been trying to prove it to the officials watching. After that, she stopped aiming at me and turned her attention to General Ritsu. She tried to make it look like she was tracking Toshiko's movements instead, looking for a shot, but I could tell that wasn't her aim. Getting her 3 shots on the shiny new toy of the military would be the most impressive way to get a victory, so it was the only option a competitive person like Quin was interested in. Near the beginning, anyway. I started bounding around the map, ignoring how Roku was clearly trying to show off how much he could outmaneuver me. I had to evade a few shots and duck around some soldiers, but I was trying to keep an eye on Quin. Another soldier missed one of his shots, and his beanbag bounced surprisingly far off a pillar near Quin and landed right next to her as she was tracing her target. I thought it'd be a perfect opportunity for her to get her 10th bag back, but she flicked the beanbag up off the ground with her foot, whipped around and kicked it back to the soldier who'd shot it. He managed to catch it and gave her a confused nod of appreciation.
Wait, huh?
She did more tracking of her target's movements, and I could tell she was trying to get a full read on how fast General Ritsu could move. Before she even took her next shot, a voice echoed over the speaker system. 1 point, Tonato Shuma on Captain Hekima Aka. I was surprised Hekima was the first one to be hit, but within the next 2 minutes, I was knocked with a beanbag in the back of my head.
Ow!
1 point, Sake Ondia on Adachi Kaio.
I mean, it probably didn't hurt too bad. They all just beanbags.
It was a little embarrassing to hear that said to everyone. Just after, I heard Roku yell out, "Looks like 2 blades aren't always better than 1, huh, Kaio?" I rolled my eyes and replied in a very upbeat tone, "Yeah, I guess not. Whoops." I knew Ondia would be gunning for me now since he'd hit me once and needed to hit the same soldier 3 times to win, so I kept a closer eye on him too. Which was hard to do after I saw Quin finally take her first shot on Ritsu. The general had just leapt into the air away from another target, and Quin aimed perfectly into her path to hit her in the air. The shot would have struck dead on.
Yes?
If a very narrow, dart-like blade hadn't shot into her path and destroyed her beanbag.
Oh,
Just after that, Akuma Calico leapt in between Quin and Ritsu. Most of what I know about what happened between them I've gotten from Quin's manhwa pages that she made about the situation, so it's entirely possible she's overstated the drama of it all, but according to her, Calico said, "If you really want to test yourself, Ritsu isn't the target you want, little girl." Calico wasn't wearing her helmet, so her shields weren't activated over her face like the rest of us. She wiped her thumb across her cheek, bumping over many scars as she said, "Let's see if you can give me my next pretty little mark, but I doubt you will." Quin still wanted General Ritsu as her target.
Yeah, that's a little much, personality-wise.
But wasn't one to turn down a challenge. She aimed at Calico's left and fired at a pillar a few feet behind her so she could keep track of where her shot ended up, then aimed an inch to Calico's right and fired again, hoping she'd dodge right from the first shot and move into the next one's path. Calico didn't move an inch, and both shots missed, but then she flicked her fingers on her gauntlet-clad hand, and 2 of her blade fragments swooped behind her and tore through each of Quin's beanbags.
That's 3 shots left.
Just 6 shots to go, she allegedly said, but again, I do think Quin exaggerated a bit in her manhwa. Calico was a freaky woman, but... well, actually, I guess this could be pretty accurate, come to think about it. Anyway, reducing her number of shots just made Quin that much more determined. Calico's Super Wraith blade was one of the smallest I'd seen. I'm pretty sure she maxed out her tech at only 31% of its capability, but even at that small size, her blade could split up, like Toshiko's, except Calico's parted into 4 tiny dagger-like pieces. Quin may not have had her Super Wraith gear, but she was still a world-renowned parkour champ. She sprinted to one of the building structures and scrambled up the side. When Calico leapt up after her, Quin aimed into her path and fired, once again ready to keep track of where her shot went, but Calico destroyed it, so recovery was impossible. Quin knew she'd be out of shots in no time if she kept this up. She tried running closer to her target, knowing Calico couldn't actually hurt Quin, but her target just leapt away with ease, thanks to the enhanced speed of her suit. Whatever distance she wanted to keep from Quin, she'd be able to easily. That was when Quin decided to change tactics as she spotted a perfect opportunity. She whipped around and sprinted to the edge of the floor she was on, away from Calico. She crouched like she was about to leap off and saw her foe dart past her to get ahead of her in the air. Instead of jumping like Calico did, Quin dropped and slid across the floor, grabbed the edge of the building and swung herself underneath it, then fired a shot away from Calico. A voice called out, 1 point, Jin Quin on General Yamada Ritsu. I hadn't seen that happen, but remember being unable to hold back a quiet cheer when I heard the announcement. Quin had seen General Ritsu moving in the near distance behind Calico, and needed her out of the way, hence the fake-out. Calico was surprisingly gracious about the maneuver. Oh, you're more clever than I thought, but that is the last point I'm letting you get. Calico even scooped up Quin's beanbag with one of her blades and tossed it back to her. Quin caught it, reloaded it, and turned to go for Ritsu again. Quin tried many more tactics to hit either General Ritsu or Calico, and none of them were paying off. In the meantime, another shot landed on Hekima, and a few more recruits were getting their first and even second shots in. Andia even got another hit on me when I was distracted trying to watch Quin. I wasn't being careful enough, but was desperate to know what was happening with her. Quin wanted to be the first person to win, but I just cared about her at least being one of the 3. Things got worse after Calico got Quin down to only 4 shots left. Quin managed to get herself out of Calico's path onto a 3rd floor ledge and aimed right at General Ritsu. I got onto a building 1 over from her and thought I was about to see her land a perfect shot. She fired and the aim was precisely placed. Unfortunately, before it could land, the general moved like lightning, aimed up her arm, and fired a concussive shot at Quin. It burst the beanbag in mid-air, hit Quin dead on in the head, and sent her rolling back right off the other end of the building. She tried to grab the ledge but missed and fell 3 stories with her head aimed straight towards the ground. Thinking back, she probably could have saved herself, being such an accomplished parkour expert, but something unexpected meant she didn't need to. Instinctively, I thrust my hand towards her, as if that could stop her fall, and it actually sort of did.
Wait, what?
Just before hitting the ground, her fall dramatically slowed, then she spun around and her feet landed first. I genuinely wasn't sure if I'd been seeing things, but it seemed like I'd done that. She looked as baffled as I did, though she couldn't see me watching her. I was also so distracted by her fall that I didn't notice another beanbag soaring up into my side. 3 points, Sake Andia on Adachi Kaio. Sake Andia is the first to complete the test.
2 spots
that wasn't
left.
Good. There was only 2 spots left, and Quin was down to 3 bags. I made sure to congratulate Andia, but also knew I had to be even more diligent. Quin making it or not wasn't up to me, and if I took enough hits, who knows, maybe they'd consider bumping me from the squad. I stopped watching her at that point and focused on not getting hit again, as well as trying to process if I just used a dormant Cusidian ability.
Yeah,
Quin wasn't even the slightest bit deterred. The way she tells it, all the tension just made it that much more exciting for her. She decided to turn her attention back to Calico without making it obvious. Her plan, still to this day, seems like it was way too big of a gamble to me. She fired another shot on General Ritsu, but it was a long one and Calico had plenty of time to get her own blades into the path and destroy Quin's 3rd last shot. After she did just that, Calico chuckled. Just 2 shots now. Guess you have to try and hit. But before Calico even finished pointing out that Ritsu should be her only target now, Quin fired a shot right at Calico's ankle. 1 point, Jin Quin on Akuma Calico. Calico eyed her up and down, confused and intrigued. Not bad, but that's not gonna give me a new scar. Besides, you're also betting on me being a good
These are also beanbags. You're not gonna get a scar from a damn beanbag.
sport again, right? The only time Calico had returned a bag to Quin was after she'd hit General Ritsu, so it seemed like Quin was banking on Calico doing the same thing after this hit on her. If Calico destroyed the bag that had just hit her, Quin was down to 1 left and still needed either 2 hits on Ritsu or Calico. It looked like her fate was entirely in Calico's hands now. Calico picked up the bag and tossed it up and down. What to do, what to do? It's all over for you if I just do this. All 4 of her blades flew right towards her hand and stopped within an inch of the bag.
Ooh.
But maybe I won't. Let's split the difference. She turned, reached back her arm, and hurled the beanbag with her Super 8th enhanced strength, chucking it all the way to the end of the track. It would have been at least a kilometer run for Quin to go get it. Thankfully, retrieving that bag wasn't a part of her plan.
Oh,
In
good.
fact, she'd been hoping Calico would do something just like this. Quin started sprinting at Calico the second she turned away. With her last shot, Quin fired right at Calico's back. The beanbag hit her and bounced off her body as Quin kept running towards her target. Calico whipped around to see the bag flopping through the air and realized what Quin was doing. She flicked her wrist to send her blades toward the bag before Quin could get it. They flew right for it, ready to puncture Quin's last chance at victory. Thankfully, Calico's reaction time hadn't been fast enough to catch up to Quin's scheme. Nearly getting her arms sliced off in the process, Quin snatched her bag out of the path of the 4 blades. She crammed it back in her gun, cocked it, and fired that same beanbag again. There was a loud thunk, and before an announcement could even be made for Quin's second hit, she'd struck Calico a 3rd time.
That's how
the
you do it.
The shot bounced off Calico's chest as Quin skidded to a stop in the mud right next to her mark and shrugged. I could have shot you in the face just now, but I don't like scarring up my squad mates. A voice rang out once again. 3 points, Jin Quin on Akuma Calico. Jin Quin is the second recruit to complete the test. Calico laughed almost uncontrollably after that, making Quin pretty uncomfortable. But at least when she was done, she said, "Oh, I like you, Jin Quin. Welcome to the slip."
This is a very comic book background he's doing, and I'm not hating it. I'm loving it.
Player squad. The test wrapped up a few minutes later when Tonito Shuma got his final shot on Hekima, and our squad was complete. I congratulated Quin, but as expected, she shrugged it off as though it should have been a given that she was going to win. As happy as I was, as we all left the track to go back inside, I was more distracted by what had happened with Quin's fall. Had I actually used Q-City telekinesis? Was I just seeing things? Or maybe Faye was even watching with her cloaking tech on and had saved Quin herself, knowing she was a friend of mine.
You never know.
I knew it was something I'd want to talk to her about, but another distraction came up as I walked with the squad into our meeting room to debrief. As soon as we opened the door, I heard a wonderfully familiar voice. That there was a mighty fun match to watch, Slayer Squad. Bless my heart that I get to fight alongside a crew as fierce as all y'all.
Chip is back, finally! Favorite chemical! Yes! So I love Chip.
It feels kind of
He's
weird
awesome.
being in the second half of this series now. Like, it's just kind of sinking in that it is going to end at some point, which, you know, is obvious. But we're actually getting to a point where I'm going to start paying off some of the stuff that I've been setting up from the beginning. We've still got almost half the book left, but I don't know, that just kind of hit me when making this episode. And I'm very excited by how well-rounded this story is going to be by the time it's done. Anyway, besides that, that's all for today, except, of course, for ending this video on some kind of positive or inspiring note. And the thought I want to leave people with today is something I read this week, I think from a page called Third Eye Thoughts on Instagram. And it was this quote that I've seen bouncing around a bit lately, which is, "I asked God for flowers, and he gave me rain." And I think that's just such a nice, simplified version of saying, sometimes to push us in the direction of the good things that we want, we need something seemingly negative to push us in that direction. But I also feel like it's one that just sits nicely on its own without an explanation. I asked God for flowers, and he gave me rain. I hope that's inspiring. I love you all, and I'll see you all in the next episode on Friday. Goodbye.
Alright everyone, that's going to be the end of today's video, and I hope you all enjoyed this. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more. Link to the original will be in the description below, and I'll see all of y'all next time when we flick back on. Till then, this is Fox, signing out. Peace.